goes to meet his friend who is air, ये और उसको चढ़ाता है, hey, क्या, why don't you do it? Even one person can change the whole world. All the changes which have taken place in this world were done by single people. So उसको थोड़ा सा और बढ़ा देता है. So like that, all these elements have their own greatness, own power, but they can also not destroy the Atma. It cannot touch. Because the self is subtler than these 5 elements. In fact, self is the witness of these 5 elements. The self is the witness of the 5 elements. Also, because of the presence of the self, only the 5 elements exist. The existence for the 5 elements are given by the self alone. It's like my dream. The dream exists because of the dreamer. The dream cannot exist even for a second when the dreamer wakes up. You cannot say, just hold on, I will wake up, I will go take a round and come back. Yahin par ruko. The dream cannot exist, though the dream is very powerful. All the elements are there in the dream, very, very powerful. But when you wake up, the dream gets destroyed because it was existing because of you. You had created that dream, and because of that, it was existing. Similarly, this whole world exists because of the presence of self. So, it is the witness of this world. So, that which is witness cannot touch it, at all. So, na enam kledayanti apaha na shoshayati marutaha. So why it is so? Why cannot it be touched? In the next verse, Bhagavan says, Achedyoyam adahyoyam akledyo shoshya evacha nitya sarvagatasthānuhu achaloyam sanatanaha achedyoyam adahyoyam akledyo shoshya evacha nitya sarvagatasthānuhu. Achedyoyam. Why the weapons cannot cut it? Because the Atma, the self, is uncuttable. I don't know whether that word is there. It cannot be cut. Its very nature is such that it cannot be cut because it doesn't have any parts. First of all, it is very subtle. That which is subtle cannot be cut or can be harmed by something which is gross. For example, Akash is subtlest element. Then comes Vayu, then comes Agni, then Jal and Prithvi. Even the Akash cannot be cut. You take a talwar and try to cut Akash into pieces, it cannot be. Because all that we can use is grosser than Akash. Even our greatest of bombs cannot disturb the space. Space will remain as it is. And this Atma is even subtler than space. So how can anything cut it? It cannot be cut. Achedyo ayam. Adahyoyam. It cannot be burnt. It doesn't have any qualities or any fuel material in it which can be burned. It cannot be burned. Ayam akledyaha. It cannot be wetted also. You cannot, there are no pores or there are no, it is not like a sponge which can be, you can wet it, we can put water into it. No. Atma cannot be wetted. Akledyaha. Ashoshyaha. It cannot be dried. It doesn't have any liquid into it which can be dried up. If there is some liquid, we can dry that. If the cloth is wet, we can dry it. But that which doesn't have any liquid, you cannot dry it. It cannot be dried. Therefore, it is said, Atma is nityaha, it is eternal. Eternal, existing always. Eternal, existing always. We are at present experiencing time, and this time we are experiencing because of the moment of our thoughts. Actually, time is experienced as a moment. Time is experienced as an interval between two events. One event happened and another event happened, we experience it as time. If only one event takes place, we will not experience time. Like in deep sleep state, only one event is there, no thoughts are moving, nothing is happening, so there is no experience of time. But when we are awake and there is thinking happening, then there is experience of time. Also, depending on the quality of thoughts and the speed with which the thoughts are moving and the awareness of those thoughts, one experiences time. Like you are coming here for pravachan, if you are finding it interesting, the time moves faster. But if you feel, pata nahi ab Swami ji kitne der bolenge. Then when the different events, like if your mind moves here, there, this, that and all, then one start experiencing the time moving little slower. But if you are in one event itself and that event continues, then the time passes very fast. When you are watching a movie and all, it passes so fast. Yeah? But when you are waiting for the bus to come or some person to come and all, your restless mind goes here, there, kahan gaya hoga, yahan gaya hoga, ye, wo, and the time seems to be moving very slow. So time is experienced according to the moment of our mind, our thoughts, and where there is no moment of this thought, there is no experience of time. The Atma is beyond this mind. In fact, the mind exists in the self alone. It's like the water, the moment of the water is there, but the water is beyond the moment. It is because of the water only there is movement, but water itself is beyond the moment. The Atma itself is beyond the mind. Therefore, it says that it is Akal, Sat Shri Akal, we say. So it is Akal, beyond time. So since it is beyond time, it is eternal. Time cannot touch it. Time cannot touch the self. It is Nityaha. When we are identified with the mind, our awareness goes from as though the time is there and we experience the past, the present and future. But when one goes beyond the mind, or even one is able to quieten the mind, one experiences eternity. Therefore, there is a very famous, I think, statement or poet has said that in a moment one can experience eternity, and in a sand grain one can experience the whole world or something. So, if we become intensely aware of the present moment, you will experience eternity. But if we become aware little bit of past and future, we are caught up in time. Very strange that the concept of past and concept of future, as soon as it comes, we are caught up in time. In the pure present, there is no such thing called past and future. Past and future is just in the thoughts. We cannot see past. We can only think past. We cannot see future. We can only think future. We can only experience present. In the pure present, there is no such thing called past and future. So when a person becomes intensely aware of the present moment, means when the mind becomes absolutely still, one experiences, one comes face to face with eternity. A Mahatma or a realized master in a state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi touches that eternity itself. It's like a like a doorway. The pure present moment, as one Mahatma says, is like a doorway to enter eternity. So therefore the scriptures talk about the self as nityaha, eternal. And hence it is sarvagataha. It is eternal and it is all pervading. It cannot be, something cannot be nitya and limited to one thing, because the very limitation will make it non-eternal. It's all pervading. Sarvagataha. Everywhere, and there is nothing which is